Hey kids! Spelling is fun. No, I'm kidding. Hello everybody, my name is Joanna and I am what many would consider a Swiftie. I'm also a hater of Christmas and straight romance, so when I heard Lifetime was making a Christmas movie inspired by the relationship of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, of course I had to watch it. The title is Christmas in the Spotlight, and at first I thought I wasn't going to make a video about it, but watching it, it made me think a little bit about the ethics of making media about real life people. So I thought it would be interesting to talk about this movie and what it made me think. This is also my first ever and possibly my last, but for now it is my first ever Christmas video on the channel, so it is a landmark for my channel, or should I say it's a hallmark for my channel. No, I shouldn't. Wrong channel. Hallmark and Lifetime, not the same thing. Okay guys, it's time for us to get into our Christmas period and talk about this movie. Let's go. I think this should be fun. Are you ready for it?
Let's freaking go.
Down the room, that's scary. Hello everybody. So my name is Joanna, but I also like to be positive sometimes. Before we begin, I have to mention I had never seen a Lifetime movie before. Lifetime is not a channel in my country, but I had an idea of what to expect because I have seen all of Jane Mulcahy's videos about Lifetime movies. And I will say, if I were to be doing her Lifetime movie drinking game, I would be dead simply because of the amount of wine they drink and mention in this movie. But I think this is fairly true to Taylor Swift, so I'll give them that. Part 1. The movie. Okay, so the movie begins introducing us to our fictional Taylor Swift, Boeing Sykes, and I have to begin this by mentioning that Boeing Sykes is probably the worst name I have ever heard in my life. It sounds like a Colleen Hoover character. Okay, so Boeing is filming the music video for the single for her Christmas album. And it's not surprising to anyone that the song she's actually singing is not good. Like, I don't know what else you could have expected from Lifetime. It sounds like a Disney Channel song. The lyrics are pretty simple and juvenile, and above it all, Boeing is doing this choreographed dance number. And here's the thing. I understand that they are not trying to be 100% copy of Taylor Swift as a person, and that Taylor has incorporated choreographed dances in her music videos and performances before. But this doesn't feel like Taylor at all. It's missing a lot of her endearing awkwardness, I think. The goal of this video is not to minutiously pick up every single thing that is different from Taylor Swift's life in comparison to Bowen, so I'm not going to comment on every single detail. First of all, this would be tiring, but also I don't know Taylor Swift in person and I had no idea how she acts privately. I just mentioned this because if there wasn't so much talk about this movie being inspired by Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, you could infer this is just a random pop star. Anyway, the song Boeing is singing is about being by yourself in Christmas. And then her agent is like, don't you think it's a little sad to be singing about this? And Boeing is like, no, it's empowering. I don't have to have a man during Christmas. And don't get me wrong, I definitely agree. But they are only introducing this because Boeing will have a man in Christmas and will be proved wrong by the narrative. Not only that, but Boeing keeps on reiterating about how she doesn't want to date anyone and wants to focus on her career. And I'm just mentioning this because even in this movie that they are trying to break from the usual Christmas movie mold, they still need to have a protagonist that doesn't believe in love and is too focused on work and then will change their mind after falling in love. They had an opportunity to go against the cliche and they decided not to, which is a little disappointing, but that's okay. It's not disappointing if this is the type of movie you really enjoy. Yeah, Boeing is about to release a Christmas album, but her agent is like, your Christmas album is not doing really well in the pre-order numbers. And then after this conversation with very subtle expository dialogue, we finally get introduced to our version of Travis Kelce, who is this American football player called Gonzo. Gonzo is such a bad nickname too. I think Boeing is the worst offender. I will say I know absolutely nothing about American football and I don't know much about Travis Kelce's life either, so I suppose there's plenty of references to his life in this movie that I just didn't catch at all. I do know he has a brother who is also an American football player, and this is a part of this movie too. Gonzo's whole character arc is actually based on feeling like he lives in the shadows of the expectations of his brother and how he wants to be seen as a good American football player and a smart person who's not just stupid, which I thought was pretty interesting, especially because the actor who plays him really does a good job in looking stupid. And I mean this not in a bad way. I just think whenever you look at him, you feel like there's not a single coherent thought going in this guy's mind. Okay, so then there's a conversation between Gonzo and one of his teammates slash bros, And through some, again, very nice expository dialogue, we learned that Gonzo's contract will be up at the end of the year, and his numbers have been a little down lately. I think one thing that worked well with this movie by its genre is the way they wrote the Gonzo character. He just seems like a nice dude. He's shown being nice to people. He has a close, wholesome relationship with his niece.
He gets all glowy whenever we watch your videos.
That is not a crush. That's just a really good skincare routine.
Also, by the way, I have mild facial blindness, so I might be wrong, but isn't the actress who's playing Gonzo's brother's wife that one TikToker who got canceled because she made a TikTok dressed as Marie Antoinette saying let him make cake? Is she that? I'm not entirely sure because I only got to know about this drama from Elliot Singh's response video to Salim Tovar's response video to the whole controversy. So I'm not entirely sure, but I think it is her. So Gonzo and Boeing end up meeting each other because his niece takes him to a concert, and then after that she wants to take a picture with Boeing, so they go together and their meet cute is very awkward, but it is supposed to be awkward. There's this running gag in this movie that they keep on talking about how Gonzo has trouble talking to Boeing, or women in general. He's kind of awkward, which I understand him. I'll give him that. So yeah, it's really awkward, but the narrative wanted it to be awkward, so I'll give them that. I think the concert scene is pretty funny because it kind of reminded me of the movie The Idea of You, you know, that one movie where Anne Hathaway falls in love with pseudo Harry Styles, because it's like supposed to be an actual concert going on, but you look at the scene and it's just green screen and like very small in scale audience shots. I thought it was funny. It was really giving Austin and Ellie's concert scenes, if you know what I mean. You know, when they introduced the details about Bowen's album not doing really well and Gonzo's numbers being down, I thought they would do like a fake dating trope. Like they would begin dating because it would be beneficial for their careers, and then they would actually fall in love. Or maybe like they would be in love but also be using their relationship as marketing, which is something that real life Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are definitely doing. I'm not one of those people that is speculating if their relationship is true or not. This is not up to me, and I think it probably is true, but also they are definitely using it for marketing purposes too. And I thought that this would be the territory where the movie would go, but no, it doesn't have anything to do with this, which is unfortunate because I love a good fake dating trope, okay? I do. But yeah, basically, Bowen's agent convinces her, I think it's manager, and I wrote agent all the time. No, it's manager. I just cannot read. I read agent instead of manager. But yeah, Bowen's manager convinces Bowen to go on a date with Gonzo because this manager, her name is Mira. I don't know why I didn't write it on my script, but the manager's name is Mira. Mira convinces Bowen to go on a date with Gonzo because Mira is a fan of his brother. She's like a huge American football fan, and she wants to meet the brother. So she's like, go on a date with him, Bowen. And they go on a date in Bowen's private jet. Now, I don't know if this was done on purpose, if the writers had some sort of sense of humor about it, but I do find it really funny that this movie found a way to romanticize Taylor Swift's unethical private jet usage. So in this date scene, we get to learn a little bit more about Bowen's backstory. Differently from Gonzo, who is pretty close to his family, especially to his mom, we get to learn that Bowen is not close to her mother at all, and that her father has passed away from cancer. And she is also a single child, which is a difference. These are all differences from Taylor Swift in real life, who is close to both of her parents and has a little brother who God smiles at because he's inside and out better than she is, as the best day says. I think this is a good change. In the beginning of the movie, Bowen mentioned her father had cancer, and I was really worried about where this was going to go because in real life, both of Taylor Swift's parents had cancer in the past, and I think it could go insensitive really fast to use this as like a tragic, sad backstory for your character in your dumb little Christmas romance movie, you know? So I'm glad that they decided to give her a different story that is divorced from real life Taylor Swift. I just realized that their ship name is Bonzo. Do you think this was done on purpose? Bonzo. What a ship. But yeah, Bonzo, the couple, Gonzo and Bowen, they go on a second date at Gonzo's house, and he makes her lasagna, and they build puzzles together because Bowen likes building puzzles because it's something she used to do with her dad as a kid, and so they, you know, have a romantic montage of them building puzzles. And then they are falling in love and promising not to fall in love with each other, which is something that really must be doing something to the hearts of the suburban moms watching this movie, you know? But they decide to keep their relationship a secret because Bowen's dating life is pretty much speculated all the time about on media, and she doesn't like that. And I will say, I do like a secret romance trope, and I think that in this movie specifically, it's well explained why their relationship should be a secret. I feel like it's so stupid. So many times you see like romantic stories where it's supposed to be a secret relationship, but it's just these like average straight people who have no reason to be hiding each other. I think it's so stupid. So at least this time they have a good reason to be wanting to keep their relationship a secret. I think this would be a really good time to reference love story, but they didn't do that in the movie, unfortunately. Or many of Taylor's songs about secret relationships. Dancing with Our Hands Tied, the best song on Reputation, guys. First, I just realized I'm Reputation themed today. Kinda, I have the serpent, and I have she has that picture with a rainbow dress. So I'm kind of Reputation themed today. I didn't even think about this. Oh my god, Reputation Taylor's version coming out. I'm really afraid that she will announce Reputation Taylor's version in the time that it takes me to edit this video, and then this will be super outdated. So, okay, so later on the date, Gonzo's bro from the football team arrives and he sees Bowen, so they have to tell about their relationship to the bro. I don't remember his name. I think is it Drew? No, I think Drew is another character. I don't know. Guys, I am so stupid. I watched this movie 2 times before making this video. Drew is Gonzo's real name. For God's sake, Joanna. And then Bowen and Gonzo end up having, it's not an argument, it's kind of like a sad conversation about it, where Gonzo is like, I don't know if I can keep you hidden. I don't know if I want to keep our relationship hidden, which is pretty wild because he's like, I am falling in love with you, and like, dude, this is your second date. You guys are moving this relationship in lesbian time. You have to slow down. And Bowen is like, I don't want to go public with our relationship. I'm sorry. So, you know, they are kind of, it's not an argument, as I said, but they are not together anymore, kind of. But Bowen has a change of heart after like 2 scenes, and she goes to one of Gonzo's games and tells him that she wants to be with him, and she spends Thanksgiving with his family, which is important for her because she doesn't have a family. And they make pumpkin pie, and I've always wanted to try pumpkin pie because I feel like it's something I would love because I like apple pie. Pumpkin soup is actually my favorite food. So I want to try this combination. So after this, they decide to go public with their relationship, and this helps both of their numbers. So Bowen's album is doing well, is selling well, while Gonzo gets a contract offer from a different team from LA to go to this different team, and they are paying much more to him. And he is torn between going to this other team or staying in his team because he's obviously close to the people in his team. His brother is in that team. But the LA team would be good for him because it would pay him more. And also he would be in LA where Bowen lives. So their relationship would be a little less hard. And so there's drama there. So Bowen and Gonzo, I have such a hard time saying their names together. I'm going to call them Bonzo. For the rest of this video, whenever I'm talking about the both of them, is Bonzo. So yeah, they go to a gala. Bonzo go to a gala. And there, Bowen's evil ex shows up. He was introduced before. He was obviously the villain from the setup. I just didn't mention him because who cares? And he shows up and he kind of manipulates Bowen into saying some stuff that out of context kind of sounds like she's being very mean to Gonzo and saying bad things about their relationship. And he obviously records the whole thing. And like, Bowen, sweetie, have you learned nothing from watching Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed?
I think
Bonzo
sucks.
So yeah, the ex, he leaks this video, and so Gonzo watches that and he's like, oh my god, Bowen doesn't love me, this relationship is not true, all this type of drama. And I wonder if this drama was inspired by a real life event of Taylor Swift's life. You have to wonder. Bowen then tries to apologize, but they just end up breaking up. And then she goes to practice for this Christmas charity thing she will be performing at later. And she begins writing a Christmas love song, right? And the whole time I was like, this is the perfect time for her to sing Christmas Tree Farm. I understand that it's probably expensive to pay for the royalties of a Taylor Swift song for your show or your movie or whatever. But Christmas Tree Farm, guys, who cares about the song? No one. She should have, or like one of her most not really known Christmas songs, like Christmas Is When You Were Mine. I feel like this one would have lyrics that kind of fit the movie. It's kind of not really because they didn't have Christmases together, but you know, it's the spirit that counts. Or even Christmas Must Be Something More. I really feel like they could have fit the beautiful line, so here's to the birthday boy who saved our lives, somewhere in the story. So yeah, there were options, but no, they just chose to make Bowen sing the most generic Christmas love song that exists in the world. So that's really sad.
My love is a gift that I'm giving to you.
So then the conflict gets resolved in the most boring way possible. Someone leaks the actual video, the whole footage, and they see that they had taken Bowen out of context and she was not being mean to Gonzo and to Bonzo in general. Woohoo! Look, I understand that, again, this feels very close to something that actually happened to Taylor Swift in the past. However, this is such a boring way to resolve the conflict of your movie. None of the characters are participant in this. It's something that only gets mentioned. We don't see the action. It's just a boring thing for a story, okay? So Gonzo is convinced to try to get Bowen back by his brother, and it's really funny the way they get the brother's wife to get out of the scene when the two bros are supposed to have their heart-to-heart.
She's just out of my league.
Mommy?
Coming, sweetie.
And then there's finally a reference to friendship bracelets. I just realized I'm not wearing my friendship bracelets that I wore on the Eras Tour in this video. This is such a wasted opportunity. What is wrong with me? The niece character gives Gonzo a friendship bracelet with the lyrics of Bowen's most popular song in this universe. And I was laughing too much at this scene. I know I shouldn't, but Bowen's most popular song is such a stupid little song about shining. And like, here's the thing, I understand Taylor Swift has her fair share of generic pop music, but come on.
It's an abbreviation of a Bowen lyric. Don't you know anything?
Even in the darkest night, I'm gonna shine, shine, shine.
3 vezes sim, 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 sim.
This is not it. Bowen sings her new sad Christmas love song on the Christmas gala she's hosting. It's a charity thing, I don't know. And Bowen and Gonzo apologize to each other in this event, and they kiss each other, and Bowen says, "Let's freaking go," which also made me laugh way more than it should have.
Let's freaking go.
And then they spend Christmas together. And this is the end of the movie. Pretty generic, right? Part 2. What did I think about the movie? Overall, I was expecting worse. I think if Christmas romance movies is something you like to watch, I think this one is definitely one of those. Guys, I also want to clear up my opinion on the movie. I actually thought it was pretty decent for what it was trying to be. I think it had a decent budget. It didn't look super cheap. I think the actors had enough chemistry. I think it was not the worst written movie I have ever seen. It was kind of awkward, but, you know, again, I think for the genre, the type of movie this was, I think it was pretty decent. I'm sure people who love this type of movies will enjoy it. And yeah. Or not. I don't know. The last Christmas romance movie I watched was one that they were playing in Sessão da Tarde in like a random afternoon of May 2023 called Coyote Creek Christmas, and the only thing I remember from it is that it had Mona from Pretty Little Liars and a side couple that were lesbians, and I was much more interested in the lesbians. So I'm not the person to be telling you if this is a good Christmas romance movie, but I think it was. I didn't hate it. Anyway, one thing that I was a little disappointed by is that I kind of wish there were more Taylor Swift references. I mean, there were many Taylor Swift lyric references, and also like just about her life. They mentioned that she's a billionaire, that she has a lot of Grammys, which is so funny when you consider the music that Bowen Sykes is making. Like, I know the Grammys are no, The Grammys are a joke. I feel like she could have won Grammys in real life. But yeah, there were a lot of Taylor Swift song lyrics being mentioned. Here's a compilation of the main ones I noticed.
I've had this since I was 15.
He is a better man.
I'm sorry, Uncle Gonzo can't come to the phone right now. He's dead.
The alchemy between these two is off the charts.
Why they gotta be so mean?
You think you're Wonderland.
Let the games begin. I was never really the cheerleader type. More of a bleacher girl.
But I kind of wish there were more. Taylor has so many songs, and so many of them have very specific titles that I think would be interesting to try to fit into a conversation. So in my opinion, this movie should have been 70% of this dialogue should have been Taylor Swift songs. I feel like this would be really interesting, don't you think? I saw some people complaining about the amount of Taylor Swift references in this movie on Letterboxd, and like, what were you expecting when you began watching this movie, you know? What would you watch it for if not for that? Part 3. The ethics of media inspired by real-life people. When I watched Christmas in the Spotlight, I thought it was a silly, funny movie I could make fun of, and it is, I just did that. But I sincerely think we can use it as the beginning of a conversation about the ethics of media, about real-life people and real-life stories, that I think these can go in an ethical path pretty fast. And why is that so? I think invasion of privacy is the main thing. I think there's definitely a difference between, public fascination and appropriating someone's life for entertainment. Behind their public personas, Taylor and Travis are real people who haven't really consented to a story like this being made by them. I don't think Christmas in the Spotlight is hurting anyone's perception of them. And I think it is definitely trying to portray them as good people in general, which I would say it is a little boring because you have to make your characters a little flawed to make the story interesting, But, as I mentioned, I'm glad that they wrote Bowie's backstory to be different from Taylor's in real life. It didn't really feel that exploitative about an actual sad story about Taylor Swift's real life. But at the end of the day, when you stop to think about it, any sort of media made about real-life people and real-life stories is going to be exploitative, no matter how unharmful they are. And yes, I am counting, for example, Starlight by Taylor Swift, the song she wrote based on Ethel and Robert something Kennedy, some of the Kennedys' love story. That is a real life story, and it is exploitative to write a song about it. I'm not saying it's inherently and always going to be bad or unethical when you do that, but it's always going to be exploitative. When it comes to this low stakes Christmas Lifetime movie, I don't really care that the producers didn't get Taylor's permission to make it. As I said, it is a harmless story. It's not even that 100% similar to real life. Obviously, if Taylor expresses her discomfort with that, I wouldn't think that was nice, but she hasn't said anything for now. But this opinion really begins to change when we start talking about stories that are higher stakes, like the ones that include trauma or crime or real life situations that were traumatic. When media creators use real life situations as a basis without consulting the people that they are basing off, I think there's a very big potential for harm. Before we continue, I want to give a trigger warning for this portion of the video. I will be talking about a movie called May December that is loosely inspired by a real life case involving child abuse and exploitation. So if this is something that could be upsetting to you, I won't go into any graphic details, but if this is something that could be upsetting for you, I would suggest you to skip ahead. This is the timestamp for when I stop talking about it. You can also check the chapters down. Take care of yourselves. I think a good example of this is the movie May December, which is a movie that I actually like. So the plot of this movie is inspired by the real-life story of a woman named Mary Kay Letourneau, who was a teacher who abused her 12-year-old student, Vili Falau. The movie is about this actress who is going to visit a family where a very similar thing happened. A school teacher named Gracie abused her 12-year-old student, Joe, and they ended up getting married and having 3 children. And the actress is visiting them because she will be playing Gracie in a biopic. Although May December does change names and details, it's still a parallel to the case. Julianne Moore, the actress who is playing Gracie, is even doing the lisp that Mary Kay had in real life. And Vili Falau, the real-life victim of the situation, was not contacted or consulted during the whole making of the movie. I think when filmmakers choose to base their stories in real-life events, especially when it includes abuse, they end up having an ethical responsibility with the ones who were affected in order to tell a story that will not be romanticized or sensationalized. And I find it troubling that in the case of May December, this wasn't the case. And what hurts me the most about May December is that as a movie, it is trying to critique the sensationalization and romanticization of true crime. Spoilers for the ending, but the last scene that we see is the actor who's playing Gracie in the biopic playing Gracie, and we realize that the movie that she is making is this cheap Lifetime-esque movie focusing on just fitting to the media circus that this case had caused. In that scene, you as a viewer are supposed to stop and think to yourself, well, I just consumed a movie that is profiting off of a real life case. I am part of the problem. And I liked that, and I thought that was interesting and compelling. But I find this messaging to turn pretty hollow when you consider that the movie was made with no regard from the actual real-life victim of the situation that inspired it. Obviously, May December is a much more serious situation than Christmas in the Spotlight or the song Starlight. With all that said, I just hope you understand that I think not all media is made equal, and I hope we can stop the normalization of romanticizing and sensationalizing real-life stories for cheap entertainment value. I also think this applies to those Lifetime biopics based on real-life stories of real-life celebrities who had tragic lives. The one that especially comes to my mind is the one made about Aaliyah, who was made without the consent of Aaliyah's family, and I don't like that. Hi guys, I know I look a little crusty, but I feel like I wasn't very clear in this video, so I just need to repeat my point. That is, yes, every media made inspired by a real life event or a person will be exploitative, but again, I don't think it is always going to be unethical or bad. This is what I was trying to say. Like, I don't think Christmas in the Spotlight is in an ethical movie. And I'll use an example of a good movie, I guess, that I watched recently. That is the Brazilian movie Ainda Estou Aqui, I'm Still Here. This is a movie about a real life story of a man named Rubens Paiva who got killed by the military during the military dictatorship in Brazil. And it's about the story of the movie is about his wife trying to learn what happened to him because obviously the military didn't tell her that he got killed. And it's a very good movie and it's a real story. And the movie was written based on the book written by the son of Rubens Paiva about this story. So obviously they consulted the real people involved to make this movie. They made it with the primary source being a book by someone who was one of the people affected, and it's a very good movie, and I hope Fernanda Torres wins the Oscar for Best Actress. I don't think she will, but I hope she does, because that would be really cool for us Brazilians who are mad at Gwyneth Paltrow up until today. If you know, you know. Anyway, I just decided to make this disclaimer because I don't know if it was too clear in my video that I'm not saying Christmas in the Spotlight or the song Starlight are inherently bad. And well, I think this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you if you chose this video to watch it. Please comment your thoughts. This is something that I wanted to ask because this is like a conversation that I think it can be had about, like, it's not a conversation that just ends with me saying this. I think it's unethical, you know, there's many things to consider. When it comes to Christmas in the Spotlight, it's not that deep, you know, it's a random movie that, oh my god, it's all hot, I'm going to take off these gloves, I'm sorry. It's just a random romance movie, it's not that deep, but I think we need to think critically, as I always say in these videos. So again, thank you so much for reading. We can even have a conversation about fanfic, about real person fanfic when it comes to this, but I think this is going to have to be its whole different video because that's a whole other conversation that I would love to make a video about because I like fan fiction and I think it's an interesting topic. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys very soon, I think. Anyway, bye. Bye bye. Bye bye, baby. Kisses, kisses. Bye. This is the longest my hair has been in a really long time and it's kind of bothering me. I kind of want to cut it all off. You know, I wasn't going to wear these gloves, but I looked at my outfit and I thought it was so boring. So I was like, I'm going to put on these gloves. But first of all, they are way too big for me. And second of all, they are so hot and itchy. And have you learned nothing from watching Scooby-Doo love song that exists in the world? So that's really sad. Last Christmas,
I gave you my ass, but the very next day, you fucked my best friend. This year, I'm fucking your dad. I'm also fucking your cousin.
Ooh. What am I doing? I don't know. Today, I'm in such a good mood today, guys.